Welcome back. Now that we've set up our initial preferences, we want to set up specific details for the grading on each class. So there are a couple ways that you can access your gradebook. You could access it via the Gradebook tab on the top here, or on your pages, your home page, next to each class you will see a little icon for grades. So first I'll show you what it looks like when you jump from there. Now, when you jump from there, it could bring you directly to your scores page. Typically that's where it would bring you if that was the last thing that you had open. If I return to pages, I could also just click Gradebook up here, and you'll notice it brings me to the same place. So we'd like to start by looking at the details for this class. You'll notice that at the top here it says Class List 2014-2015 French 1 Period 1. So this will tell me which class I am currently working on. If this is not the class that I want to be adjusting, all I have to do is click Class List here in blue, and I'll have my list of classes to choose from. So I'm going to choose, let's look at my French 3 class. We'll just click the blue link. And now you notice this changed to French 3, Period 3. And I'm on the Details left tab. The first thing you may want to do for your classes is to create a course nickname. This will default to being the official course number. So this is what it looked like when I first opened this class in September. But this is not very descriptive. I don't have my course numbers memorized. So for me, it was much more helpful to label this as French 3, Period 3, Semester 1. So you give your course whatever nickname would be helpful to you. You notice it tells you the official description, which you cannot change. It tells you which class it meets in, what period of the day, and which semester. This is Semester 1. Average mode. So when we went to our preferences, we had set up a gradebook default. Okay? But if I don't want to use this default that I set up in my preferences, let's say this class has a different averaging system from my other classes, I can make that change here. Just be sure that once you make your choice, that you are sure. Because if you get to the end of quarter 1 and then decide, hey, you know, I think I want to try a different averaging system, if you do a different averaging system, at that point you are going to make a real mess of your gradebook. So try to settle on something and stick with it at least for the semester, and then you can always change when second semester rolls around. The averages grade scale, same thing. We're using the high school grade scale. I had already set that as the gradebook default, so I don't need to change anything else there. Drop mode. You can choose here if you would like to drop scores. You can set it to not drop scores at all. You can have it drop the lowest overall score, so we would take one score from any category, and whatever that is, whichever one is the lowest, it would drop. Or you can have it drop the lowest score in each category. So make your choice there. Another helpful thing, if you teach more than one section of the same course, you can choose to link those classes, and that way when you create categories or you create assignments, they will automatically be generated for the other class. Now don't worry, let's say that you link 2 classes and then you decide, oh gosh, my Period 1 class will get this assignment, but Period 2 is not going to have it. It's okay. You can create an assignment that's only for one class and not for the other, but this makes it handy so that you don't have to re-enter all of your information from one class to another. So if you want to link classes, over here you would click Select. You'll notice that I have already linked this to my French 3 class, but if I were teaching 3 sections in one semester of the same thing, I can just go boom, 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 choose all of the ones that are linked, and click OK, and all of your linked classes will show up here. Then what you'd want to do is give a name to the collected linked sections. So I called all of them French 3. You can label them however you wish. Once you have done that, make sure that you click Save. Some pages within Aspen automatically save, others do not, so make sure that if there is a Save button, you do click it. The next thing you'll want to do is create your gradebook categories. That's found on the left-hand side, Categories tab. Even if you are doing total points, you have to create at least one category, and you can make that category weighted at 100%. I chose to set up 3 separate categories, weighted 33, 33, 34. Note that the weighting numbers do not actually have to add up to 100%. So you could have 1, 1, 2, and it would end up assigning 25%, 25%, 50%. In order to create a category, I go to Options and click Add. Now I'm going to enter some information to create this category. First, you need to add a code. This is going to be a short nickname that you will use to recognize this category in your gradebook and as you create assignments. So maybe my code is going to be test. The description is a longer title that gives more description and makes it more clear as to what test exactly refers to. So maybe this is going to be tests and quizzes. Weight, I'm going to decide what portion of the overall average it's going to be. So I like to think of things in percent, so we'll say that this is 50% of the overall average. Assignment defaults. This is information that is going to preload anytime you create an assignment that is in the category test. So your grade scale, again, is going to be your high school grade scale. Entry mode, you can choose whether you are only allowed to enter numbers, you could only enter letters, or you could enter both numbers and letters. I think leaving it both is usually helpful. Total points. So this is a required field. You're going to tell Aspen how many points you usually assign to tests. So maybe all of your tests are out of 100 points. That way when you create a new assignment, 100 points is what will automatically be put in. You could leave it at 0. It'll preload the assignment as 0 when you go to create it. Extra credit points. Be careful about extra credit points. If you set it to default to include extra credit points, that means that every assignment you create would have a certain number of extra credit points available. If that was true for tests, maybe on every test you have the option of 5 extra credit points. You could put a 5 in there, and that will allow you to enter a score up to 105 points. You can choose whether or not the score is able to be dropped. Just check that off. And then visibility type. Aspen sets it to private. That means only you can see it. But if we want students and parents to be using Aspen, what we want to do is either choose public or public no grades. The difference is public will display the information about the assignment and students will be able to see their own grade. Public no grades will only show the information about the assignment, the title, if you enter any additional details or you provide a link to a resource, but students will not see the grade that you enter into Aspen. So choose your default. Personally, I use public because I want students to be able to see their grades. Now, since French 3 has a linked class, this is checked because I want this category to also be included in my other French 3 section. But if this category was only for this one class, I could uncheck that. And again, I'm going to click Save to store this information. Now, if I want to go back and see all of my categories, right now I'm in Detail View. You can tell because of the little triangle. If I click Categories again, you'll see that I now have 4 categories. And you'll notice that I entered tests and quizzes as a weight of 50. Well, Aspen automatically adjusted the percentages to make each of these proportional. So even though I entered 33 here, this was reduced down to 22% because the 50 is a larger portion. Let's say you make a mistake and you create a category that you don't want. Well, it's easy enough to get rid of. We click the checkbox next to the category, go to our Options menu, and click Delete. Delete all record, the one selected record? Yes. Now, let's say that I have created my categories. They're perfect. I love how they are. Now I have 2 other courses that maybe aren't linked, but I want to have the exact same categories. It's easy enough to transfer this information to the other courses. I'll go back to my class list, and I'll go into my French 1 class this time. I'll go to Categories, and now under Options, I'm going to import categories. My box says Import From when I click the magnifying glass. I can choose which class to import the information from. I click OK. Then I can decide if I want to import all categories or just certain categories. So I'll do that again. All categories, I would just click Import. It would bring in the 3 categories I created. When I click Selected, it automatically jumps to this other screen where I can check off, maybe I only want 2 of the 3 categories. Then I would click OK. It updated categories to import 2. I would click the Import button, and then it would bring it into my class. I'm not going to click Import because I already have categories and I don't want to mess up my gradebook, so I'll just click Cancel on that. So for each of the courses you teach, you will want to make sure that the Details page is set up as you wish, with your drop mode, course nickname. You'll also want to make sure that your categories are correct for each class. And remember, you can switch from class to class by clicking Class List and choosing a different course to look at. Now you can go to the 3rd video in the series, which will show you about setting up assignments and entering your scores.